Recorded Books and RB Digital present A Really Good Day by Ayelet Waldman, narrated by the author.
A quote from Terence McKenna. If the words life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness don't include the right to experiment with your own consciousness, then the Declaration of Independence isn't worth the hemp it was written on. Prologue. This morning, I took LSD. The table I'm sitting at right now is not breathing. My keyboard isn't exploding in psychedelic fireworks, lightning bolts shooting from the letters R and P. I'm not giddy and frantic or zoned out with bliss. I feel no transcendent sense of oneness with the universe or with the divine. On the contrary, I feel normal. Well, except for one thing. I'm content and relaxed. I'm busy, but not stressed. That might be normal for some people, but it isn't for me. I didn't drop a tab of acid. What I took is known as a microdose, a sub-therapeutic dose of a drug administered at a quantity low enough to elicit no adverse side effects, yet high enough for a measurable cellular response. A microdose of a psychedelic drug is approximately 1/10 of a typical dose. A recreational user of LSD looking for a trip complete with visual hallucinations might ingest between 100 and 150 micrograms of the drug. I took 10 micrograms. Microdosing of psychedelics, so new and renegade a concept that I had to teach it to my computer spell check, was popularized by a psychologist and former psychedelic researcher named James Fadiman in a series of lectures and podcast interviews and in a book published in 2011 called The Psychedelic Explorer's Guide: Safe, Therapeutic, and Sacred Journeys. Since 2010, Dr. Fadiman has been collecting reports from individuals who experimented with regular microdosing of LSD and psilocybin, a naturally occurring chemical found in a variety of different species of mushroom. Soon after his book's publication, in a lecture at a conference on the potential therapeutic value of psychedelic drugs, Fadiman presented what he had learned from reading the dozens of reports mailed and emailed to him, some, though by no means all of them, anonymously. He said about microdosing, "What many people are reporting is, at the end of the day, they say, 'That was a really good day.' A really good day. Predictably, regularly, unexceptionally. That is all I have ever wanted. For as long as I can remember, I have been held hostage by the vagaries of mood. When my mood is good, I'm cheerful, productive, and affectionate. I sparkle at parties. I write decent sentences. I have what the kids call swag. When my mood swings, however, I'm beset by self-loathing and knotted with guilt and shame. I'm overtaken by a pervasive sense of hopelessness, a grim pessimism about even the possibility of happiness. My symptoms have never been serious enough to require hospitalization, nor have they ever prevented me from functioning either personally or professionally, but they have made my life and the lives of the people whom I love much more difficult. I have sought many treatments for these moods and miseries. Though I managed to be one of the only neurotic Jewish children growing up in the 70s and 80s in the New York area to stay out of a shrink's office, I did eventually dip my toe. Or, to be more accurate, I waded into therapy with the eagerness of a dehydrated camel sloshing into an oasis mud puddle. I wallowed in therapy of all kinds. My first therapist was a psychiatric resident assigned to me by University Health Services when I was a third-year law student. I was looking for help dealing with a breakup that at the time felt tragic, but that now seems like that moment when you look up from your phone just in time to avoid being plowed down by a city bus. I sat in my therapist's office and sobbed. Once I stopped crying 2 or 3 sessions in, we talked about my boyfriend and my ambivalence about the breakup. We talked about the guy and the other guys and the 1 or 2
Sample complete. Ready to continue?